Hi there, I'm Dr. Stephanie Falk, and I wanted to talk a little bit about maintaining emotional well-being despite this very difficult health crisis that we're all finding ourselves embedded in. It's very difficult times, and I think that it's important for us to try to figure out ways that we can maintain our emotional health and well-being despite these really chaotic and uncertain circumstances. So I wanted to provide just a few tips on doing that. Tip number 1 would be to let yourself feel. Tip number 2, maintain connection. Tip number 3, try to have control over the things that we do have control over. And tip number 4, find the silver lining. So tip number 1, let yourself feel. I think that these are uncertain, scary times, and it's really appropriate to feel frustrated, to feel sad, to feel scared, to feel angry. Those are normal emotions. If you had lost a loved one and came to my office, I certainly wouldn't sit across the room from you and tell you not to feel and not to cry, not to grieve. I think that there's definitely some grief that's happening right now all over the world. And so I think that it's important for us to honor our feelings and to allow us to grieve and to feel. The problem is that we don't want to be consumed and utterly overwhelmed with our feelings. So I think that we need to give it a time and a place. Let yourself have a day to just be upset, to be angry, to be sad, to be scared. Or maybe you schedule a 5-minute increment every day to allow yourself to feel those things. And then you pick yourself up and then you go throughout your day in the best way that you possibly can. Tip number 2, maintain connection. Even though we're physical distancing right now and for very appropriate reasons, I think that it's important that we find ways to stay connected. So make that phone call to that friend that you haven't talked to in a few weeks. Get on FaceTime or Skype. Find a way to see the people that you love, even though you can't be in close physical proximity. It's really important that we maintain connection and that we feel the support of our loved ones and we're able to offer support in turn as well. Tip number 3, control that which you can. I think that we can control what we're doing at home, right? We can establish a loose schedule that I think can be incredibly helpful, and that schedule can include things like meditation, exercise, connecting with others. It can include maybe household projects. I don't know about you, but my house has never been better organized, and I really do appreciate that. So try to look for things that you can do to stay active and involved in your home. And again, a loose schedule, but not something that you feel like you have to adhere to stringently. We don't want to produce more anxiety than is necessary, but some kind of routine that you can have predictability around day to day. Number 4, find the silver lining. I think that perhaps there's radical opportunities for personal growth embedded within this time. I don't mean to minimize any of the stress that this creates for you, for me, for my family, for yours. I think this is an incredibly uncertain, scary, frustrating time for all of us. I think that it is important, though, that we're able to potentially see what benefits might exist in the core of some of what we're facing. So perhaps it's more downtime to connect with a loved one, to really have meaningful conversations with your children, with your spouse, with your friends. Maybe it's time to really self-reflect and work on personal growth in some way, shape, or form. I'm not really sure what it looks like for you in terms of finding that silver lining, but I do think that finding benefits each and every day, or really counting the things that we're grateful for every day will be a really helpful course of action during this time. So I hope that it's been helpful to tune into these tips. Again, tip number 1 is to let yourself feel. Tip number 2 is to maintain connection. Tip number 3 is to find some kind of control in a situation that does feel pretty unpredictable. And tip number 4, it's to find the silver linings. I certainly hope that you're managing well during this time. I don't want to dismiss any of the difficulty around it, but I think that there's a lot that we can do personally to establish a better baseline of mental health during this time and to not let ourselves be swept up or overcome emotionally. I hope this video finds you doing well. I hope that it's been helpful. If you don't want to miss a video, feel free to subscribe, and I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you.